Hello and welcome to another Talking Toy episode. I'm your host Teddy, and today I'm being joined once again by
Hayden.
And today we're going to be talking about the TMNT 2003 Season 1 Episode 17, Shredder Strikes Back Part 1. So, what do you think about this episode briefly?
I think everyone knows by now, Teddy, I cannot put stuff into brief context now. But if I had to, this episode, I know I say this every week, but this episode has got to be my top 10.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think this episode as well as next week's episode are some of the best stories across like Toy history, and I'd even go as far as to say across like comic book stories and even like stories in the media. This is one of the best stories you'll ever see. And this story has actually been done quite a few times in Toy media, but I do think that this is one of the best adaptations of the story. So, with this episode, I think there's only two ways we can really go around this. So, do you want to talk about the stuff that happened in April's apartment first, or do you want to talk about the stuff that happened with Leo first?
I'm not too sure. What do you want to go with?
Well, don't quickly do the all the stuff with April's apartment, because that won't really take too long, and then get to the very juicy bit.
Alright, go on then.
Okay, so one of the first sort of scenes, we get to see Mikey wakes himself up with his hand and then rushes to the bathroom beating Raph. Do you have anything to say about that a little bit?
I don't really have much to say about that one particularly, but I gotta say, I agreed with Raph and his words. It's like, words cannot describe how disappointed he was. Like, he literally just like, I'm done. I'm not surprised. This is Mikey.
Yeah, I had to say that with that scene. Again, I don't really have too much to really say about that either. But I will say this: I do think that the amount of skill that Donnie had with him sleeping on top of the sofa in that position, I think that's got to like, at least have some skill, especially with him not falling off. I gotta give him some credit there.
He was like a cat.
Oh yeah, I just realised that it was like a cat. So the next scene we do have Mikey making breakfast and ruining the eggs and making scrambled eggs. Do you have anything to say about that bit? Because I don't really have anything to say about it.
I just gotta shout out to April here, but April was like, oh, it wasn't just a bad dream of four turtles and a rat in my house. It's reality. I just loved how she just woke up and said, "Yep, this is life now."
Yeah. So then probably another decent bit. We've got to see the Turtles actually having breakfast and Mikey nearly destroying all China. Do you have anything to say about that?
No, not really. No, I don't really have much to say for that bit, except that Mikey has his moments when he's trying to throw the plates, and of course they're trying to catch it. Not the best idea, but of course, when it comes to like the little ditty things, and especially when it comes to food, he's like on point. Like, he doesn't mess around with food.
Yeah, I think he does have some really decent skills, and we'll see that this little bit here with them all interacting. I know it's not really it's not like an overly great scene or anything, but I do enjoy the Turtles in just interacting, just being like brothers in a way, or like teenagers, like them throwing the plates and making somewhat of a game out of that, and then even when there's just talking around the table, it just feels natural in a way. But then we do have a very interesting scene. We do get to see Mikey do a really big burp. Do you have anything to say about that scene?
What a belter. That was like a proper belter, that was. Like, he just like, ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention please? And just belted the largest burp that I've ever heard to everyone. And I was like, don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted. Like, I was in between the two, whether to be impressed or disgusted by how much of a belter that was.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I've got to say about it, it's somewhat disgusting scene, but the only thing I really want to say about it is that I really hope that when Grayson did actually do that burp in the booth, I think that just would have been amazing. Or just, I mean, I don't really know how they would have done that sound part. I'm very curious to see how they would have done that.
That would have been a world record, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely would have broken some sort of record. With this scene also, we did get to see Toast also talking about sports. Again, there's not really much there, but it's there. Okay,
Yeah.
so first though, we should probably talk about the best parts, which is Leo
Yes.
fighting all the foot and all that. Okay, so the first one we do have is him in the morning, running across the street. Or, no, oh god, oh god, he's running across the rooftops, and that's when the foot come out to attack him. And that's when he goes down to the streets and fights them off screen. Do you have anything to say about that little scene there?
I've got to say, I am really impressed of how much detail they managed to put in. Like, especially on the rooftops, there's not much there, but like the little bits of ventilation, the piping, the bricks, really impressive there. And I've also got to say this now before, otherwise I'm going to forget. I have got to say, I have really enjoyed the environment, the absolute overall design of the environment, the weather. I am super impressed in how they managed to get the water going down the bodies as well, the arm of the stealth ninjas and the foot themselves. And I just got to say, they have outdone themselves on this thing and all the scenes in this episode. I mean,
Yeah, I just want to say that this episode was very unique for quite a variety of different reasons. And I would like to expand upon your point there quickly. So I do think that this scene here, I do like the colours which are used in terms of the orange sunrise. I really did enjoy that. But with the rain, I do think that this scene or this episode improved the rain compared to episode. I think it was episode 11, Show Strikes Back Part 2. And I do think that seeing it there, it was okay, but they did have a problem with the rain flowing down. And I do think they definitely did improve that here. But one thing that really caught my eye, in terms of not really the environment or anything, but it was actually the lack of sounds they use, in terms of the voice actors. There's more using just grunts and stuff like that. And I thought that's a very creative choice to go with that. And then even with certain scenes, they just removed the entire background music altogether. When one great example is when Leo's on the ground, or kneeling on the ground, and the foot leads her stand next to him. You just hear the rain. And I just think that this episode did took a very creative choice of just having very minimalistic voice acting and stuff like that. And I thought that was just perfect for this episode. It played into the comic book aspects of how it was presented in comics perfectly well. So that's all I really got to say about that. So yeah. So then going into the next bit, we do have Leo fighting some foot soldiers on the rooftops. It starts off normal, just them fighting, and then after the first round, he then goes up against another lot of foot soldiers, and it starts raining. What do you think about that scene?
I'm really impressed of how Leo is so adaptable in this situation. Like, his training is definitely being put to work here. Like, he's definitely been trained really hard, because he was so creative and adaptive on how he just used the cable, and he swung from the cable like Tarzan from the jungle. But it was just something interesting and something so unique that his ninja skills were kicking in, and he cut the cable, swang across the streets of New York, surprisingly without being noticed. Somehow, I'm not even going to go down that path, but I just really liked how he was just swinging through the concrete jungle, which is New York, and it was just pretty cool to see.
Okay. What do you think about Leo actually going up against the actual foot soldiers and taking them on?
I was really surprised to see the footbacks back again, because we haven't seen the foot in quite a while. So it was a nice reminder that they still exist within this universe. So seeing them again, but yeah, the foot, I must say, the foot in this series is much better than the foot in the previous series that we did, the 2012 version. I don't know, the foot in this one feels more realistic, more grounded, and they're more human, and they have more skills than compared to the other ones in 2012, because I'm not too sure how to describe it. I'm guessing they have more human-like features and human reactions, as if like a normal human being would react after getting punched or kicked in the face or being slashed by a sword. Like, it's more fluid and more realistic, I think, and that's what I just love about the Foot in this series compared to 2012.
Okay, and like, I mean, with the Foot Soldiers, I don't really have too much of an opinion like between the two, just because they're more or less just throwaway characters anyway. So, I mean, I've never been like one of those people where like, oh well, this version of the Foot is better because this and this and this. You're talking about actual characters, then I think that's a bit different. But the actual Foot Soldier fight in this scene, I think I think this is one of the best fights throughout the episode, but this was still an amazing fight. I just like how, I mean, I think like the best example I can probably give, it's just like with like the last episode when we got to see Donnie's first fight in the new world, and just the spotlight was on him for the minute. Saw him being amazing, and this scene was no different. Coming in here, doing amazing stuff, jumping on all cross foot soldiers, kicking them. It's just too good to put into words. And then when he's like taking a breather, looks up, all the foot soldiers there are amazing. I mean, you can't tell me that's not giving you like, I mean, like, you want to play with toy top vibes, where it's like all the foot soldiers lined up and like, yeah, and then going into that second fight with the Toes or Leo in the rain, and I do think this is where we do get to see Leo, it's like struggling in a way, not overly, but like you can definitely see that it's wearing down him a little bit, and I was like how this is like the very first bit that we do get to see for his downfall in this episode. Oh god, amazing. But then we do get into the next scene, we do get to see Leo versus the Invisible Ninjas. What do you think about that scene?
I was really surprised to see the stealth ninjas back again. Like, I thought, okay, they're only going to be used once and that's it. We're not going to see them again. But I was really surprised to see the stealth ninjas back. And of course, when you hear that unique sound that is like tailored to the stealth ninjas, that swooshing sound of the invisibility coming online, you just know they're here and they're here to do business. So it was really cool seeing the stealth ninjas again. And of course, I gotta say, I was just really impressed of how the stealth ninjas operated in the rain as well. I know they got defeated in the end, but I've got to say, like, how stealthy they were to take down Leo I was actually like worried for Leo for a sec, because the actual stealth ninjas, they managed to get a few punches on him. I'm like, oh no, this isn't good. And then of course Leo, I was shocked that he got thrown off the side of the building by the stealth ninjas. Like, because this is like Leo, he's like the top turtle. He never loses a fight, and of course, just to see him being chucked off the side of the building, it's kind of like sad and embarrassing at the same time. But this was just a really interesting concept to go down. Like, Leo he's suffering, he's been hurt, and this is like a very different view to what I'm usually used to, because we usually see the turtles fighting and winning, but now this is just Leo and he's losing, and it's like a different theme and sense of reality when it comes to this situation, and I just loved it, just watching it and just seeing a different path and a different view of the turtle. Like, they're just reminding us that these turtles are not immortal, these are mere mortals as well, and they can still be hurt and bleed like everyone else.
That's quite interesting. I mean, just like the way they're in it. I mean, the thing is with this scene, I've quite enjoyed this one. Again, I wouldn't say this one's like one of the best fights, but it's still a really good, enjoyable fight. And I do think that the reason why I've really enjoyed this fight, for this one being like one of the best ones for in terms of the Invisible Ninja fights, and I do think that's down to the fact that it was able to get like very creative in terms of being more ninja in a way, where Leo like goes where he just blindfolds himself, and he just takes those moments to just hear his enemies coming. And we don't really get to see that too often. And I'd have to say that with this scene, just using it like very powerfully, I would say, with like the rain coming down. So you know this is like a very difficult thing for Leo to do, but yet he does it. And I just think that it was just very powerful the way that they did it. I just think it worked so well. But then we do get to another interesting fight. We get Leo versus Hun. What do you think about that scene?
I actually was like, I'm gonna say this quite a lot, but I was so shocked to see Han back. Like, somehow he survived the 30-foot drop from the dojo. Like, I just don't know how. Like, surely, if you fell from that sort of height, you would probably break a few bones, even maybe fracturing or destroying your spine in the process. And I'm like, you won't be able to walk from that. But somehow he just walked it off, and he's walking round as if nothing ever happened, and he's fighting the turtles. Like, seriously, this guy is a tank. He's a unit. He just doesn't stop for anyone.
I mean, this scene, for years, I would say there's been two things that's really annoyed me for this fight. I mean, the first one is, I would say that with Leo, I can understand why there's like a lack of actual talking throughout this episode for Leo. He's just training, or he was training, and then now he's being worn down bit by bit, and there's no dialogue for him. But for Han, I always found it like very weird for this episode, just because like in the next episode, he's in the episode and he talks, but in this episode, he just hears like and then he just laughs, and I just feel as though that was a bit of a waste of his character in a way. And I do think that he does have some really interesting fights, but I just feel as though that if you're going to have his character in there, then at least do something with him like, actually speaking. You could have done like some banter or something like that. But I do think that with this scene, I always didn't quite enjoy this one. It's very, again, like very creative. Han just ripping off some concrete and just beating up Leo. Really unique, and yeah. Then like another thing which I was annoyed me in a way, was the fact that Han was beating Leo, and I always thought that because in like the last time we saw these two characters together, Leo beat him. Leo should have beaten him again, like quite easily, but it's only taken me now to realise that it was because Leo was wearing down that he couldn't beat him straight away. So yeah, that says a lot about me, really. But I do think that it's like really interesting that Leo like more or less like throws like Han into a wall essentially, and Han he still able to get up from it, and that would have been like a very fatal like hit to like I mean to us mere mortals.
Oh, yeah.
But how strong is Han? I mean, do you think he could be like a mutant or something? I mean, that's the only possible theory I got for that. I mean, no way they could survive that.
Well, anything's possible in this universe.
Oh yeah, definitely. Then we do get to another really amazing scene. We do get to see Leo just running through the rooftops, and oh god, I love that bit. Do you have anything to say about that little fight, or that little chase bit there?
I'm not gonna lie, I really did enjoy when how can I explain this to the audience and to you, Teddy? Basically, when they were running across the roof, you could see the bird's eye view of Han, the turtles, the stealth ninjas, all going after Leo. Absolutely enjoyed that. But of course, the one particular scene is when Leo jumps down and the stealth ninjas follow him. And of course, when the stealth ninjas look up, you can see Leo in the reflection of the visors of the stealth ninjas' helmet. And I don't know why, that just got me right there. Like, the sheer stealth and the pure fear factor just right there. I just absolutely loved it. How they looked up and you could see all the electronics, their helmet, and of course their orange visors, and you could see Leo directly face to face, like making eye contact almost. Just it was perfectly captured in my opinion, and just set the scene perfectly.
Yeah, I'd say that one of my favorite bits from this chase scene was just seeing all the villains just run after him. You got like the Norfoot, the Foot Tech, and Han. I just thought, I mean, because again, like I've grown up with the toys and all that, it's just really giving me like those toy like fun kind of vibes where I just want to get all the toys out and just put them all together and just start reenacting this sort of scene. But we do get like a really cool scene with Liu fighting all the bad guys. He does it in like a silhouette. We even see him take on Han by throwing I think it's like an aerial into Han's chest without stabbing him. What do you think about that scene?
I gotta say, talking about Han for a sec, but I seriously don't understand how Han is still walking after we saw him, we saw him get punched and kicked by Leo. And of course, Leo ran his head into a brick wall. Surprisingly, he's still alive after his. I'm surprised his skull isn't fractured. I'm surprised his brains ain't falling out yet. But uh, after the after the antenna where he got smacked around by the antenna, and you could hear his back just crunch, and you could hear his entire spine, his chest, and all his bones just being crushed. And you think, okay, he's down for the count. But no, he miraculously gets up and still continues to fight without any injuries at all. Like, he must be on some sort of super serum, like either Captain America super serum, or hell, even Bane from DC super serum Bane. That's what we're talking about right now.
Weird detour, but okay. What do you think about the actual fight scene with Leo in like silhouettes and that?
There is so much to get down in that scene. Like, I enjoy the fight scenes with Han and all that. I've got to say, we've probably looked past this scene, but I want to say it again. I was super impressed how Han just rips off like a chimney and starts wielding it like a battle axe, trashing Leo all over the place. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, with this scene, I thought the Han bit was like okay. I'd say it's just again like how did he survive like an aerial going straight into his chest and all that. But with the fight scene with the foot, I found it like very brutal in a way. Just hearing, I mean, just like somewhat slow motion, and then even seeing it in terms of like the characters are all like silhouetted and all that. And I think it's like it just sounds so brutal. It felt a lot more darker, and oh god, amazing. And then we have the Foot Elite, and they make their appearance. What do you think of the Foot Elite?
OMG, this was getting real. Like, I was thinking, okay, who are these guys? Are these guys here to rescue Leo? Are they like the mysterious organization that we've heard so much about? But no, it's the Foot Clan, and they're meaner, badder, and more angrier than the last couple of Foot Ninjas we've seen. And I'm like, oh jeez, this is not going well for Leo. But I was gotta say, I really do like these ninjas. The Ninja Elites, which you call them, they are so cool. Like, where we zoom into their eyes, their blood red eyes, and of course their hats, their garms, their weaponry is very unique and is much more advanced than an ordinary Foot Ninja is with the katanas. But I just gotta say, I am impressed. Like, they have put so much dedication into these ninjas. Like, they are so unique, and you can just know they mean business, and they are trouble wherever they go.
Yeah, I'd just say that overall I'd say the Foot Elite are just some of the best characters ever, and this episode, because it was their first appearance, I think it is honestly one of the best first appearances you can ever give a character.
Oh yeah,
I mean, their appearance, everything about them was just
especially
perfect.
with the rain as well.
But then we do get to a very interesting,
like the lightning, the rain,
yeah.
and
I definitely say that the rain and lightning.
Oh, good. It was just good.
Oh god, everything about it just made it perfect. But then we do get to another very interesting bit, and I'm somewhat interested to hear your reaction to it, because I know that it's somewhat spoiled by the actual title of the episode, but I do get see that Shredder has returned and he's on the rooftop. What do you think about that scene?
I was a bit weirded out. Like, everyone stopped fighting Leo for a sec. I was like, okay, what's going on here? And of course, Han smiles, he laughs, which I just found absolutely creepy, because when a supervillain laughs, that's not a good sign. Like, he knows something. And of course, when they all stepped back, they went into their formation, they turned around and they bowed. I was thinking, okay, what's this about? Like, I know Shredder's gonna come back, but I don't know when he was coming back. But of course, we look to him, Shredder's standing on the rooftop, looking all menacing-like. I'm like, oh my gosh, it is about to go down. Leo, Shredder, it's going to go down.
Yeah, I think that with this scene, I do like how all the foot soldiers and Hun are just standing there and then bow down. I do think that just creates a certain, I don't know how to like put into words, but it just has that like mood and vibe about the Shredder that you just know that this is like an oh shit moment. And I do think that Shredder in here was just like, oh my god, that's just amazing. But one thing I wish I will say about this, and I don't know if you, because I know that you went in this episode blind, but I know that with the episode title, it does say Shredder Strikes Back and all that. So I do think that maybe the episode with the title does sort of like spoil it in a way. So I do think that if they were to like change the title around to be something else, and then have the Shredder Strikes Back as the title of the next episode, I do think that would have worked a lot better. And that way, it doesn't reveal anything about this big like event type or like return. I think that's like my only problem with this scene is that it's somewhat spoiled, but at the same time, you know it's gonna happen. So yeah. But then we get to arguably the best scene in the episode. The Leo goes on, so we get the Foot Elite come back up onto the rooftop, start fighting Leo. When Leo's down, they give him a moment to actually fight, or like go back up, and then a fight again. What did you think about that scene? Because I think it's honestly one of the best parts about this whole show.
I am not gonna lie, that was very cool. Like, even though they are the enemy, like, when they surrounded him and Leo was down on all fours and he was, like, at the end of his rope, he was, like, almost to the brink of dying, they stopped and they honored him. Like, that was really weird. But going through the history and the whole ninja persona and their whole culture, they honor them, and it was very humbling that the enemy was humbling their enemy too, and it was just really weird, but it worked. Like, they gave him a breather, and then of course Leo went back to tried to kick their shell in, but ultimately failed. But it was just so weird. And of course, in previously, I'm just going back to like the stealth ninja scene with Han real quickly. Like, with the when Leo stopped fighting, he actually bowed down and respected his foe's fighting skills. And of course, this ninja way of life is just so humbling and honoring as well. Even though they are your enemy, you still humble and honor them for the fight they have given. And I just find that so fascinating and cool how they're bringing this culture into this dystopian world. And I just absolutely enjoy it. Just the little history and the culture behind it all is just so fascinating to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to really say about it. I just feel as though that I'm just going to be rambling. And like, I agree with you 100% and everything you said about that fight scene. And I don't really know what to really say. I was like how brutal it is, really dark, and you can definitely feel like what Leo is feeling in this scene, and I think that just makes it a lot more like darker, emotional, heartbreaking in a way. And I do think that one of my favourite scenes of all time is when Leo's on the ground and he's just having that breather moment, and you can just tell that this is just like an oh my god, like oh shit moment, hit the rain. I think that was perfect choice for that bit, and then them just like giving up the moment for Leo just to get back up. It was just perfect. I think this honestly is one of the best scenes in like any like version of Turtles across any media. Like, it doesn't matter like if it's like Marvel or DC. I think this honestly stands like test of time, but this could honestly be one of the best scenes ever, hands down. So then we go into a really interesting scene, which I'm quite interested to hear what you say about this. But we do get to see Moss Splinter tells all Toes to go out to go find Leo, and that's when he comes smashing through the window and tells all of his brothers that Shredder's back. What do you think about that scene?
That was probably my third favourite scene out of this episode. Like, sure, it's Leo being hurt, but this scene was just played out so perfectly. in my opinion. Like, this scene sent shivers down my spine. Like, seeing Leo all bruised and beaten, that was just, I'm not gonna lie, that was horrific. Like, we never seen the Turtles this bad before, especially Leo the leader, and just see him crashing through the window and just lying lifeless on the ground. It was actually, like, concerning. Like, Leo is actually hurt and he could potentially, die in this scene. Like, even though he doesn't, hopefully he doesn't, but it was just really, really cool and sad at the same time. Like, it's cool because we get to see him down like this, and of course it builds character development. But it was really concerning. Like, his brothers, his father, April was around him. You can hear the wind howling, the glass shattering. Like, it was a real powerful scene to even witness. And of course, when I just gotta say this because this is what sent the shivers down my spine. Basically, when Leo said to Ralph, he has returned, that just got me right there and then. Like, he has returned. That one word, that one sentence, just said it all.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I've always thought this scene was it's like so powerful, and I think that just like speaks for the actual story itself. I think I can't remember like the actual term of like the actual terminology they use for actual story. I think it's like dramatic irony, or it's something like that. And where we know what's happening to Leo and how bad that situation is, we also see how well, but we also see what the Turtles are doing. And I do think that just seeing that basically both stories are coming together now, and it's just like, oh my god, what's going to happen? Just because they're caught off guard and all that. And this is just like one of those moments where you don't really know what's going to happen next. Anything could happen because like the worst has more or less happened to Leo. But yeah, at the same time, the worst is still yet to come in terms of what's going to happen next and stuff like that. And I just think that with the way that they portrayed the story, with like basically seeing like both sides, but you know how bad one is getting, and the other is like unaware. Now they both come in contact, and it's still going to get even worse. It's just, how do you even put that into words? But I just think it's just amazing. Yeah. And then we have another really amazing shot of Shredder just walking up, grabbing the swords, and breaking them. What did you think about that scene?
I'm not gonna lie, that was also my favourite scene as well in this episode. Like, he just picks up the sword from the Elite, and of course, he just wields it up in the air, and then of course, the sheer strength to break something metallic like that, and just shatters to the ground, and that was just powerful. Like, Shredder's back, and he's back for good. That's literally what he just said right there, without even saying anything. Like, he just breaks the sword like it's paper mache or something. Like, he just snaps it and it shatters, and that no words are said, just an evil laugh. And basically what he should say to everyone else is like, look, I'm back and I'm here to stay. That is literally what he just said to the world.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to really say. I think it's just what he does, the background music, the rain, lightning, it just says it all. And I do think he probably put it best where he's just saying that he's back without actually saying it. It's just perfect. I mean, the one thing I will say about this scene, even though it is extremely cool show coming in just breaking the swords, it does somewhat feel a bit useless or pointless in a way. Because I mean, like, even though this scene is really cool, don't get me wrong, I love the scene, I still don't really understand what the point was of him just breaking Leo's swords when Leo was not going to have his swords anyway. That's the only thing I've got to say about the scene. It's just that it does feel a bit pointless, but it's still cool nonetheless. Oh god, but yeah, what did you think about this episode overall?
Yeah, I'm guessing that was like a symbol. I think that's a symbol, like, to his warriors, or the foot itself, like, look, this is your master. He's unwilling, uncanny, immortal, and he's just defeated one of his largest enemies, and he's just broken the sword right in front of you. I'd feel pretty exhilarated, enthusiastic, like, hell yeah, I want to be with that guy, sort of thing.
Yeah, I just think they can, like, I think I think you just like interpret that scene like in so many different ways, and no matter how like I just think it's like one of the scenes where like no matter what way you look at it, it's just gonna be cool no matter what. But what do you think about this episode overall?
Overall, this episode was hands down one of my favorite episodes, and is definitely in my top 10. I know I say this every week, but this episode is definitely in my books for top 10.
Okay, I'm saying that because I know I'm one of the biggest fans of this story. And I think it's one of the best told stories they've ever made, and possibly one of the best stories in like media going out right now. Would you like I want to say like is that I'm trying to like word this question best way possible, but it's quite hard. But like when comparing it to other things I've watched in terms of like whatever it may be, Marvel, DC, whatever else it may be, where would you like say that this episode like stands? Because I think this is like one of the best stories like ever told and written.
Oh, that is a hard one. I'm really not too sure, but this just I really don't know. Like, it's been a while since I've watched the shows that I've watched, and I'm just trying to remember them myself because it's been so long. But I must say, this episode is definitely reminded me of all those shows that I watched in the past. Like, it was the traditional villainous, and it was just, I'm not too sure how to describe it. It is definitely up there, though. I 100% agree with you on that one. Like, it definitely brings back the old style TV shows that we used to watch as kids. Like, it was all like hand drawn, written, and it is definitely up there. And I do 100% agree with you, because it is just screaming that over and over again. And it's definitely going to be up there with the shows that I've watched. But I just can't remember which ones are so familiar. Like, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I just can't say it because it's there, but I just can't remember. But I'm just saying this now. It is definitely one of the shows that would have been up there with my other childhood TV series. Like, it would have been there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that overall this episode, I still think this episode is one of the like overall the story. As I say, is one of the best stories of all time. I'm not just saying that for Tales, just like across like all media, all like stories, whether it be movies, TV shows, comic books, whatever else it may be. I think this is one of the best stories ever written and told. And I would have to say that out of the two parts for this main story, I don't think this episode is as strong as part 2, but there's so many great things in this episode, and I think it's like quite hard to say but like any sort of negative things about it. I mean, like I've already said, like maybe the shredder bit was a bit pointless, maybe, and some of the April stuff, but at the same time, it all culminates to make a perfect story. It's just so hard for me to like say anything negative. And I don't know if that's because I'm a bit biased because I watched episodes so many times growing up and all that, but it's just so good. Okay, so do you want to hear some comments now?
Let's hear it.
Okay, so on YouTube we got Ice7. They put a lot of really good things about this episode. I like how Leo purposefully covers his eyes when he fought the invisible ninjas, relying on other senses doing the way of visibility. I like how Raph emotional NFL mentioned the NFL football teams and said there's no reptilian teams. I actually didn't realise that until he said so, and I think he's correct. I mean, we're not sporty people. If you couldn't tell, I mean, of course, we're watching Turtles, so yeah. But yeah, I don't even get the NFL in the UK, do we? So yeah.
No, I don't think we do.
Yeah, I don't think we do. Okay, and that big burp Mikey did. I'll be super embarrassed.
We don't have NFL.
Okay, that's good. And Mikey's big burp, this person said that I'll be super embarrassed if that was me. I mean, the thing is, if that was me who did that burp, I'll be very proud if I did something like that. I know it sort of just maybe sound a bit disgusting, but I'll be proud of something like that.
That was a belter.
Hello, Mellow 12, they put, Oh yeah, the episode that Leo got jumped. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Ronald Anderson, they put, ooh, I just love
Yeah,
that
that's like
episode.
the very basic way of putting it.
Yeah. Ronald Anderson, they put, ooh, I just love this episode. And yeah. Then Zwat Haft, they put, I really like how is where Leo progression on really wanting to be the best fighter to be able to defeat Shredder, but it's also really interesting how Leo starts to blame everyone else for not being strong enough and stuff like that. I don't really know where that comment was going. I don't really know what that comment was really going with. For Kids TMNT, they put The Shredder Strikes Back is one of the most iconic TMNT story arcs from the animated series. It marks the return of Shredder, the best villain of all time. Leo gets thrown through the window is arguably the most iconic moment in TMNT history, alongside with the Mirage comics which this episode is based on. The third lead are also one of the coolest characters. And yeah, they definitely are one of the coolest, if not some of the best characters ever. Then got Sage Bishop 24. They put, I felt the episode was stunning and good, set up for the Turtles to fight the Shredder. It shows how unprepared and skilled they are, and how they need to work harder. Both part 1 and part 2 are amazing. If I remember, a good ending. The way Leo went through the mental roller coaster to come back to his family after these episodes was great. Yeah, Leo was really outnumbered, especially when it comes to the third lead. They traumatized Leo and that made him lose hope. The fighting was great for his time, and heavy focus on Leo for sure. And yeah, can't really argue anything there. We got McKay Caesar. They put quite a paragraph here. So they put they couldn't agree more with the thing that I said about the pose. It's also close to flawless as any children's cartoon. Such a strong pathos and pacing is perfect. Tone is more serious than usual, but not so much as to make it unfun or inappropriate for kids. The bad guy win arc in the story, with good guys usually not really triumphed, does have some interesting literature advantages. Empire Strikes Back is another good example, but the voice acting, animation, and especially the writing and directing make zero unforced errors and fully capitalise on every relationship they built throughout the rest of the season 1. The value of the episode echoes past it when they do defeat the Shredder at the end of the series and all that. Blah, blah, blah. And then I was going to say, honestly, I cannot heap enough praise on any of the long arcs of season 1. They are straight up too good. As sure to have any business appearing in silly children's cartoon, but anthropomorphic animals batting like ninjas. And yeah, quite a bit of mouthful there, but he speaks some truth. And then also we got the Carnage Ackerman. They put poor Leo. They went so hard on him. He put up a good fight. Lisa Daniel Hollenby. They put the 2003 take on the story is a classic storyline. This episode is fantastic. I love the contrast between the two settings, light-hearted playfulness in April's flat versus the grim flat on the rooftops. The moments in that flat where everyone is starting to get mildly concerned to deeply worried, and always wonder Splinter regretted not letting Raph go bug his brothers, or he realised he'd more likely have them both lobbed through the window or both. And there's more. On the rooftops, great action sequences, brilliantly animated. It's incredibly well done. How they convey that Leo is able to outsmart or outfight his attackers, and it absolutely does it no matter what. The way he eventually buckles beneath the sheer number is heartbreaking. Goddamn, there's some terrific storyline in this episode. Absolutely terrific. The only area I can think of that might have benefited from a change is the end, as I think that the final minute or two, and there's no indication that there's any foot soldiers around it, as it doesn't feel like the follow-up will be immediate. As the start of part 2, the foot launched their attack and all that, and yeah. Gotta be a one. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Gotta be one of the best episodes of the entire 2003 series, and somehow the quality was equally stellar for part 2. Even if it has some familiar storylines, I was still on the edge of my seat to see how it went, and I'm still with every rewatch. Even if I can quote it, even if I can quote it, it's very rewatchable and very good. Apologies for the overly long and excitable comment. It will definitely happen again. God, that was a long comment. But yeah.
Wow.
Okay, do you want to hear some trivia? Or the lack of trivia?
Let's hear it.
This episode was based on a comic, which is the Leonardo one-shot, which came out, I think it was 1987. And then this story was also, this episode was, the story was redone for like quite a few other versions of TMNT, notably the TMNT 1990 movie that did it, but did a change where Raphael went through the window. The other bit of trivia that was for this episode was the fact that it's the first appearance of the Foot Elite. So yeah, okay. So for the cast, we have April O'Neil voiced by Veronica Taylor, Donatello voiced by Sam Riegel, Hun voiced by Greg Kari, Leonardo voiced by Michael Sinterklaas, we've got Michelangelo voiced by Wayne Grayson, Raphael voiced by Frank Franson, the Shredder voiced by Scotty Ray, Splinter voiced by Darius Dunn, and yeah, I think the Foot are just voiced by, I don't know who the Foot are voiced by. But yeah, there's not. I think we've done all the people. I know we definitely have done all the people in this, in this one so far. So I don't really know if we should go back and look at any of the characters or the actors, or I'm not too sure really because we've done them.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've done most of these voices, haven't we? So,
I think we've actually done all of them really. I'm pretty sure we have.
Oh.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Well, do you want to go on to the next section of the podcast?
Go on then, yeah, I guess. We've done Sam Riegel, Michael, we've done Michael, Wayne Grayson, Gregory Abbey, Scott Rayro, Greg Kyrie, Veronica Taylor, Darren Dunstan. Is there anyone else we're missing?
Yeah. No, that's literally all it is, and the cast is perfect for this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, next week's episode is next week's episode is called Shredder Strikes Back Part 2. What do you think is going to happen in this episode or next week's episode?
Well, I'm gonna suggest that Shredder is, well, he's back, of course. But I'm thinking the Turtles are gonna take revenge, especially Ralph. Ralph is just going to lose his mind. He's going to go on an absolute fighting spree and decimate some Foot Clan ninjas. And his brothers are going to join him. Leo's probably going to be staying at home resting. And of course, at the end, maybe we get to see Leo come back and save the day. Maybe after he's healed up. But I am just going on a tangent here right now. I have no idea what's going to happen.
I mean, somewhat close in terms of the fact that Ento's going to be fighting Shredder and all that. Other than that, it was quite far off. But all I really got to say about next week's episode is that if you enjoy this one, you're going to enjoy next week's one so much more. It is just perfect, or I'll say nearly perfect in every way, and is more or less action packed for 15 minutes straight. It is going to be that intense.
I
am. But yeah, so who do you think is going to be starting next week's episode? I'll give you two choices for this one.
Okay.
So because I know that you're probably going to get it wrong, do you think it's going to be either the Turtles or do you think it's going to be another character, whether that be a good guy or like a bad guy?
Ooh, now that you say it like that, I want to say something completely different, but I have no idea, because usually we hear the Turtles do the intros, but I want to be different today. I'm probably going to get it wrong as per
I'm,
usual, but I'm going to go with like a villain, perhaps.
well, you are wrong.
Yep, I was wrong again.
It is. What a surprise! It is Master Splinter.
God damn it, that was my first option.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing which I don't want to talk about. I know that we're doing the beginning bit at the end, but with the opening bit with Leo talking, did you find like any of that bit like spoilery in a way? Because I think I would have found some of that spoilery for me if I was watching it for the first time.
I kind of guess, though, it's kind of a spoiler. It's like a glimpse into the future of what's going to happen. So, I'm not too sure whether you could class it as a spoiler, because that scene, sure, it did exist, but like when Han's scene and Han's shots were a bit different compared to ones within the actual episode itself, compared to the intro. I'm not too sure how to describe it. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, like, if I was to watch it, I would want to go in like completely blind and not know about the actual story itself. But I do feel as though that with like the opening bit, you do sort of someone get like a bit of a spoiler in a way where you know that Leo's gonna be up against Han, you know that he's gonna be doing this, and this, and like this is I mean, I would say that all the scenes with Leo in this episode were like very big and important scenes, and I mean, I love the opening scenes. I truly do, because I think they're very unique and very like creative, especially because this show is the only one that does it. And I do think it works in its favour for being like standing out for being unique. But I do also think at the same time, this is like a really clear example where I do think that sometimes these can somewhat be like can hold the show back, I would say, as it does like somewhat spoil some things in a way where you know how things are going to turn out for like certain scenes in like later on in the episode. So I mean, it's one of those things where I think it's like it's positive, but at the same time, there's some negative things about it as well. But yeah, do you have anything else to say about this episode, or
Not really, no. I've
it's all done?
said.
Because I feel as though, I mean, I definitely said it. Yeah, I think I definitely said everything I wanted to say. And as far as if I was saying anything else, I'd just be repeating everything that we've already said.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you do want to get onto the podcast, you can leave a comment on YouTube. Either the YouTube, you can leave on the YouTube post. You can leave a comment on the Facebook post. You can leave it on the Reddit page. You can leave it on the Anchor page, either text message, or you can leave it on or send a voice message. We'll read it or hear it out. And yeah, so I've been your host Teddy,
And I've been Hayden.
and we'll see you soon. Goodbye, yo, bye.
Bye.